going on the back end. All right, coming up next, another sold-out crowd in Omaha. Number 20 Creighton, yes, still in the top 20 despite that injury to Maurice Watson Jr. getting set to host a Georgetown team that is trending in the right direction as of late. What have you liked the last couple weeks from the Hoyas?
You know, when you look at both their wins and losses, they've just been more sharp. Their execution offensively is back at the level that you would expect from one of John Thompson's teams in terms of crisp ball movement, more velocity on their cuts, tied together offensively, looking for each other. Peak, Pryor, and Govan, they're a handful. And then defensively, John Thompson's added a zone. They mix their defenses, sometimes three-quarter court pickup, sometimes in the half court, the man and zone. And mixing those defenses helped the Hoyas. They're still not a great rebounding team, but I think the zone has helped keep the ball in front some. Georgetown's got to win 4 out of 5. They can put an exclamation point on that run by winning the final game against Nova at home in the Verizon Center.
That would be a large exclamation point. They've won just 2 of their last 11 road conference games. They're getting set to tee it up with Creighton, then home to DePaul, and then 2 straight on the road at St. John's, at Seton Hall. And then, as you mentioned, they conclude by hosting Villanova. They have won 4 of their last 6, and they did beat Creighton by 20 in late January, but that's home. This is on the road in Omaha, maybe the best atmosphere in the Big East.
Beer nights.
I think that's over. I think dollar beer night.
Every night's a beer night.
It's Sunday. I don't think they promote beer nights
on Omaha.
Sunday. We'll see you next at half. Out to Joe Davis and Nick Baugh.
All right, Robin, more than 17,000 here inside the CenturyLink Center. Sold out for the 8th consecutive game. A Big East matchup between Georgetown and 20th-ranked Creighton, which tries to keep pace near the top of the standings after Butler's win in the first part of our doubleheader today against DePaul. And Georgetown with a win in this muddled part of the standings would move into a 4-way tie for 6th at 6-8. And we say welcome courtside. Joe Davis with Nick Baugh. You know, it's Creighton that's in the top 25, and it's Creighton that has 21 wins already. But you go back to January in D.C., Georgetown beat Creighton by 20.
Yeah, Georgetown was really disruptive defensively. Peak and Pryor settled in, executed in the half court. Creighton struggled from beyond the arc. They're 1 for 18 from 3 in their last matchup. But as JT3 told us before the game, it's a different Creighton team. It was only their 2nd game without Maurice Watson, but I think there's no doubt that the biggest adjustments in matchup number 2 lie on the Creighton side of things. Be interesting to see what Greg McDermott's got up his sleeve.
Take a look at the starting lineups brought to you by Jeep Grand Cherokee. We have 2 of the top 3 scorers in the Big East on display in this one. Rodney Pryor, first and only season at Georgetown. The 6th-year senior is 2nd in the conference in scoring. Marcus Foster at 18 per game, 6th third. It's the 10th meeting between these programs. Georgetown has won 6 of the first 9 meetings. The Hoyas have won 4 of 6 after losing 6 of 8 to open Big East play. Creighton started 18-1, but 3-4 since losing Mo Watson, and trying to get things rolling as we near March.
Be interesting to keep on our eyes on Davion Mintz, the point guard spot with the Blue Jays. Got to make sure Creighton continues to take strides settling in there.
Thomas defended by Peak, tipped out of bounds, and will stay here. Our keys to success, sponsored by SoFi, offering smart solutions to help you reach your financial goals.
Well, I think for Georgetown, need one of Govan or Derrickson to step up. Know what you're going to get out of Peak and Pryor scoring the basketball. And then for Creighton, going to have to knock down the open threes.
Yeah, Peak got in front of that, intercepted the pass, but stepped out of bounds. And you mentioned from the three-point line, and Creighton has been one of the best three-point shooting teams in the country on the season, but with these teams met up in DC, 1 of 18 from out there.
And Creighton's not going to win very many games when they don't shoot it well from beyond the arc, especially without Maurice Watson, Joe. Easy baskets, just a little tougher to come by, and so you've got to knock down your open threes.
Popping outside, Cole Huff with a baseline drive for a slam to begin the scoring.
You see Georgetown overextending on the ball screen defense, and Cole Huff able to free himself up for the drive.
With several important transfers in this Creighton program. He's out of Nevada. Here's Govan inside. He had a season-high 23 in the win against Marquette, and he's got the first 2 for Georgetown today.
JT3's got to love seeing that. Want to get something out of Govan. Get a quick foul, though. You're on a good slip from Justin Patton. Joe, in this ball screen situation. See how Govan's going to get way extended. Now he's trailing the play. Usually Cole Huff pick and pop threes, but there's no one there, so he can drive all the way to the basket. I think ball screen defense is going to be something really to watch here this afternoon.
Georgetown forced a dozen turnovers in the first meeting, turned it into 18 points, and a 71-51 blowout win. Huff again. This time he's got a three.
Greg McDermott told us it is imperative for Huff and Toby Hegner to shoot the ball. When those two guys are knocking down threes, it really rounds out the Blue Jay offense.
Govan gets it to fall, and he's got the first four for the Hoyas.
I'd love to see a steady diet of Govan one-on-one in the post against Patton.
Davion Mintz, who stepped into that starting role in place of Mo Watson, goes end to end.
I look like someone we used to watch. Look a little bit like Maurice Watson. And he can give you that. He's more of the pace point guard, if you will, of all the different PGs you'll see for the Blue Jays.
And now walk for Govan. What they get in pace, they sacrifice as far as experience, and right now defense.
Yeah, defense, especially this one's going to be a tough game for Mintz, having to guard the Princeton offense, but that's beautiful. And Mintz has to do that. Creighton's still a team that is part of their identity is pace, Joe. That they can't just totally sacrifice what they do, even without Maurice Watson.
Here's some of that pressure as they double Mintz, finding Foster, the Big East third leading scorer, leaves that one long.
That's a good job by Foster, Joe. See him flash in the middle of the floor. He's going to have to do that.
Govan short with a three. Now Mintz pushing, pulling, and getting it to roll home. Back-to-back buckets for Davion Mintz.
Impressed with how confident Mintz has played offensively. He hasn't seen a bunch of minutes in the early part of the year, but he's really played at a comfortable level offensively.
Freshman out of Charlotte, North Carolina. Press into a much bigger role with Foster or with Watson out. Here's Peak turning around. And an offensive rebound. Now Pryor. And another opportunity for Georgetown had Pryor been able to save it. But now flashes of Creighton's loss against Seton Hall last week. Seton Hall dominated the glass. They give up 8 offensive rebounds in the final 5 minutes of that game. Creighton did.
And in the final 15 minutes, got out rebounded 24-7. Delgado will do that to you a little bit. He finished with 17 rebounds in that game.
It's a foul on Momore. Greg McDermott in his 7th season at Creighton. 23 seasons overall, and his ability to adjust midseason being tested this year.
No doubt. Certainly not easy when not only is it tough to lose your point guard, he also is a guy that everything they did in the half court was centered around Maurice Watson's skill set.
There's Pat with a slam. What a season the freshman from right here in Omaha is having.
You talk about the adjustments in game number 2. Georgetown trapping ball screens. One way to alleviate that, slip out of those screens. So right before you set it, you go to the rim.
Marcus Derrickson misfires on his first attempt. Pat wants it inside. Govan knocks it away. Stay here.
You're going to have to slip these screens. So see how it's going to get swung around. So Patton's going to come to the screen and then slip to the basket. See how Govan was getting extended on the perimeter. So Govan's going out the trap. Patton slips to the basket. Beautiful execution.
At 20 in the loss in DC in January. 20 of Creighton's 51. It's a season low for one of the top scoring teams in the country. Foster with a line drive 3 that Patton cracks down. Already halfway to his rebound total from Wednesday. The loss at Seton Hall, but then a turnover. Peak leads it to Pryor. Well done in transition.
Those two guys are a handful in transition, Pryor and Peak. And you know, JT3's talked about wanting to play with more pace, not only in the half court, but I think those two guys need to get out and try and get easy ones.
Foster, tight spin, his first points.
Joe, this Princeton offense really tests your patience, your communication, your IQ, because they have no problem getting latent into the clock and attacking.
Like they do here. The shot clock inside at 10. Govan a contested jumper. Patton deflected it. It's back the other way, trying to beat Fillmore to the spot. Instead pulls it out. They give Patton room, but he gives it up. Foster turns the corner, leaves it short. Georgetown 14-12, 5-8 in the conference. 5 games left, including today, trying to make a push towards the NCAA tournament. Not much room for air, though, for the Hoyas. Govan is wide open on blown defense from Creighton.
But beautiful execution. Just you got shooters on the perimeter. So you have to stay hugged up on the three-point line, and a good pick and roll and an easy deuce.
And 6 of the first 8 for Georgetown have come from Govan. Foster underneath, forces it up and in.
I'd like to see Marcus Foster do more of that. Don't settle for jump shots early in the game. Get to the basket, get to the rim, get some easy ones.
Govan travels the second time that he's done that. Creighton with an early 15-8 lead here in this Big East matchup. Went inside to Govan, who's had a good start. Georgetown needs it badly. Foster off to a good start as well for the Blue Jays. College Hoops on FS1 is sponsored by Jeep Grand Cherokee. Back here in Omaha, where Davion Mintz is off to a good start. Run to the point. The Coach McDermott's team has made both his field goals so far.
Yeah, 2 for 2. And it's important for Davion Mintz to provide some of that pace that Creighton likes to play with. Here he is pushing it, going right at Fillmore to get an easy one off the window. He's a talented offensive player, and it's always important for him to get off to a good start to continue to build on that trust that him and Greg McDermott are working through right now, that he can run a team. So it's a good sign for Greg McDermott to see that young freshman get off to such a good start.
Started against Seton Hall Wednesday, but only played 16 minutes. When it was crunch time, they went to the veteran in Zierden, who's more of a shooting guard. But right now, Doug McDermott trusting, you mentioned that word trusts Zierden more late in those games.
Yeah, I think everybody on the roster, I think Greg McDermott trusts Isaiah Zierden more than anybody. So, and trust is a big part of playing time. It'll be interesting to see Mintz and his minutes here this afternoon, because defensively, it could be interesting with him. It's a complex defense to try and guard. There's tons of back cuts. There are different assignments that can be hard to deal with.
There's a lob to the rim for Hansen. You told me about an hour ago. Watch when Hansen goes in the game. They're going to go right to him inside.
They love to get him a touch, because he can score right at the paint, right at the rim, little slip action. He's really helped. They come back 3 weeks early from the ankle surgery. Good to see him out there.
LJP hustling inside, got it back and scooped it off the glass, playing at a high level right now.
Yeah, he is. LJP, when he gets downhill, and by downhill, going north and south, right at the rim, he uses that big body to get himself free.
Thomas had it deflected from behind by Pryor. Now back the other way comes the freshman, Jagan Mosley. Peak goes baseline. And out of bounds, last touch by Mintz.
You see Zach Hansen. Usually they post him up, Joe, but here they run a little slip screen. So here, keep an eye on Hansen, number 40. So he's going to come out. He's going to slip right to the rim. So they throw it up to him, and he goes and lays it in. That's some good X's and O's from Greg McDermott. A different way to get Hansen involved.
Akoya Gao, the local product. Right here in Omaha, fires up a 3. What, 40 friends and family in attendance today? Foster has knocked down another.
See, I think you go to the rim, you get a few ones right at the basket. Those shots are a little easier than the step-back jumpers for Marcus Foster.
Govan gets doubled in a tough spot. Finds a cutting Gao, who's got his first points in his return here to Omaha. Out of Omaha Central High School. Mintz back the other way in a hurry. And 6 early ones for Davion Mintz.
That's the way Creighton likes to play. And they want to get out and run. And think about it, Joe. You build the habits of always running off of a made or a missed basket. Those habits are also tough to break for the other 4 guys on the floor, so they get used to playing a certain way.
Pryor gets fouled by Hoff. JT3, 17th year as a head coach. Started at Princeton, now in his 13th season at Georgetown. The first losing season of his career last year. Trying to get them back to the NCAA tournament, but not a lot of room for air down the stretch here for the Hoyas, who have the last couple of weeks kind of gone on and off the bubble. Right now, Stuart Mandel has them completely off the bubble, not even in the next 4 out.
They do have 3 good wins. Beat Oregon, beat Creighton, beat Butler, beat a Syracuse team that is subtly surging a little bit out of the ACC. So you feel like if there's a strong finish, they did do enough in November and December that they're an interesting team to look at if you're on the committee.
Couple of free throws for Pryor in a 7-point game. 8 minutes into this one.
Good start for both teams.
Yeah.
I mean, both teams are really operating at a pretty high clip offensively.
It was a sluggish start the first time they played in DC, and it stayed sluggish for Creighton. Georgetown eventually got it going. Vince pulls up. And Agao has the rebound. Pryor fires away and knocks down a 3.
Boy, pretty. You got to run him off the 3-point line, but he can also put it on the deck. But you give him some airspace, he's going to rise up and let it fire.
With an 18 per game for him. Here's Mintz, short. Pryor in his first and only season with the Hoyas. His 4th different school. Mosley loses it out of bounds. We'll dive into Pryor's story as the day rolls on, but JT3 happy that he's a Hoya for this one season. The 24-year-old out of Evanston, Illinois, has 7 in a 4-point game.
Welcome back to Omaha. Blue Jays up 21-17. Georgetown in the half court will run the Princeton offense, and a huge part of defending it is making sure that you're always making sure that the defender is in between the basket and the ball. So when Pryor cuts, he has to cut through Kyrie Thomas's body. Instead here, Thomas gets extended up the floor, so there's a straight cut to the basket, and Pryor's able to catch it and draw a foul. Good execution, and Kyrie Thomas has to make sure that he aligns his body correctly.
It's going to be tough to prep for Georgetown because they're so different than what you see most nights in the Big East.
Totally different. Totally different. They'll get to ball screens and different things like that, but how they arrive at that point, there just aren't a lot of teams that will go backdoor 3, 4, 5, 6 times in a possession. And so it is a tough team to prepare for, but oftentimes that second time around when you play them, things are a little bit more familiar.
71-51 the score the first time they met in Washington, D.C. That was in late January. A Georgetown win. Several subs into the game. Isaiah Zierden in there. So is Toby Heckner. But this is Foster. Zierden's left alone in the corner. Got peeked the fly by. And canned a 3.
Joe, sometimes as a shooter, you like guys flying at you because it forces you to put arc on your shot. I think that helped Zierden that it was such a good contest.
Agao, aggressive, will have a chance at 3. And this is as aggressive as I think I've ever seen him. You think he's jazzed up to play in this home city?
Yeah, Agao jokingly told us before the game, I'm shooting it every time I touch it. Well, that's a good hard take. Patton struggles one-on-one in the post. And Okoye Agao more of an energy guy than a scorer. But he certainly has proven that he can fill it up if you leave him alone. Joe, he used to come to games all the time as a recruit, but was a heavily recruited guy, ended up going to Louisville and has ended up at Georgetown.
Heckner with a transition 3 that rattles around and out. I was just thinking, you said he joked around that he was going to shoot it every time he touched it. Maybe he wasn't joking. I think it has gone up every time he's touched it.
I think you're right. He's got the 3 up, he's got the cut to the basket, the post up.
And that's an offensive foul on Marcus Derrickson.
Right now, Georgetown varying what they do defensively. JT3 said they wanted to switch things up on Creighton, not give them one look for 40 minutes, play a little zone, play a little man, switch out their defending ball screens. That's why with young point guards, whether it's Clement or Mintz, you got to be able to identify and adjust.
Clement a walk-on. Preston a more duty as the trickle down from the Watson injury. You mentioned Zierden playing more point guard as a result. He's on the floor as well. Boy, Foster tried to thread that one into Patton. And the thought was something new from Foster as far as him distributing more, but pretty tight window.
Right now, Georgetown's switching everything. And when that's the case, take your time, find the mismatch, and exploit it.
Gao hard to the rim, lost it, and Hegner came out with it. Clement looks to attack, finds Zierden, his three, off the back iron, and Gao goes up to clear it. All right, so he's not going to shoot it every time.
Yeah, that's the first one.
Peak can't hit. Hegner established position, but then Patton's passes off the mark, and it will be Georgetown ball. Take a look at our Jeep stat of the game as this Creighton team tries to play without Mo Watson. The guys have had to take on new roles, and both Foster and Thomas have become better distributors.
Yeah, look at that. 6 assists in 6 conference games from Marcus Foster, 23 without. And you see the numbers for Tyree Thomas. Both guys have had to take on more of a playmaking role, and I think they've both done a pretty good job in a short amount of time.
Ball really moving, and it tees up a three out of the corner from Pryor that's rebounded by Govan.
I think posting up Govan one-on-one against Patton is a good place to go.
That's right where they do go. With a help defense from Hegner, the shot's no good. Hegner hesitated, drove, and with a spin move, got to the rim, but defended by Govan. Here's Mosley hopping inside and getting fouled. Big and Mosley, the freshman point guard, aggressive to the rim and picking up the second foul on Justin Patton.
That's important. Patton, one of his issues has been a little bit foul prone. Tough situation there. You're just sprint back on defense, head of steam, try and put your hands to the sky, but now he'll have to take a seat. And unfortunately, Greg McDermott doesn't quite trust playing Patton with 2 personal fouls, so it's going to be a lot of Zach Hansen now for the final 8.5.
And that's the silver lining to it, is that now you do have Zach Hansen, where for 2 months, Justin Patton got in foul trouble. Your options were a little bit limited.
Yeah, that's where it's always good to infuse experience and depth late in the year. Zach Hansen, a guy that has played a lot of basketball, and he gives Creighton a different look. Patton's a little more athletic, a little longer. Hansen's more of a bruiser.
Omar in for Mosley. Still sharing the point guard duties, replacing Devontae Smith-Rivera, who is a 4-year starter at point guard. And JT3 told us before the game he's getting exactly what he needs out of those guys right now. They're not necessarily scoring, but running the show for him. Peek at it, knocked away by Clement.
Yeah, not asking Omar Mosley to do a whole lot, just like Greg McDermott doesn't ask Tyler Clement, Davion Mintz to do a whole lot. Just inner offense, move the ball. There, a little mental error as the turnover just entering offense from Creighton.
Peak throws that one out of bounds.
Good job by Clement there to just bump the cutter enough to disrupt the timing to create a turnover. Those are the little things that Clement has spent multiple years running Georgetown's offense on the scout team. So he knows how to defend it because he can anticipate what's coming.
Shawnee, Kansas. Tyree Thomas behind the back, and a tough shot rebounded by Peak. Here's Pryor. He pulls and hits, and a 10-3 run for the Hoyas.
That's his best shot, Joe. Little jab step, one dribble pull-up jump shot. And I think every time Pryor has an opportunity to attack without Tyree Thomas on him, he's got to put his foot on the gas to score.
In a few minutes since Creighton's last field goal, Hansen wants it inside against Derrickson. Instead, Huff comes and gets it and launches around and out. So the Hoyas with a chance to tie or take the lead in a game they trailed by 9 early on. Omar got cut off. Now Pryor to the free throw line. Tyree Thomas, quiet start to this game for him. Nearly turns it over. Clement bounces for Hansen. Tremendous vision to find the cutting big man.
Clement and Hansen have good chemistry with each other.
And a timeout for JT3. And a 4-point game of what has been an entertaining first half.
Clement Hansen in and out of his hands for the flush. Jays up 4 early.
Creighton has led the entire way in a 4-point lead inside of 7 minutes here in the first half. And Wednesday, it's a Big East doubleheader on FS1. It all starts with Xavier and Seton Hall. Two teams need of a win at this stage. And Andrew Schrabis and a top 25 Butler team traveling to Philadelphia to take on second-ranked Villanova. Wednesday on FS1. Villanova clinching at least a share of a 4th consecutive regular season title with a win yesterday against Seton Hall. And Butler getting the win today against DePaul.
Jay Wright, Coach of the Year, National Coach of the Year.
Yeah, the only reason that he wouldn't be would be just fatigue from him always being in the discussion, kind of like the Mike Trout thing in baseball. I think you could always give it to Jay Wright.
Don't you think he's done a good job? His team has really embraced the target of being #1. They brought it every night. And although they have great players, Omari Spellman was a big man that was supposed to help them. Had some academic issues, couldn't play. Phil Booth and his knee, so they've had to adjust with a little bit of adversity with 2 rotation players not playing.
Creighton right now sits 3rd in the conference standings. Georgetown is in that pack near the middle of the standings, although they technically sit 9th. With a win today, it would draw into a tie for 6th. Here's Foster alone from 3. And it crawled over the rim with a foul on the rebound going on the Hoyas.
Job by Kyrie Thomas just to crash the offensive glass. Into the weak side. Forcing a physical block out from Peak and knocked him over.
And so Creighton, we talked about, Nick, was 1 of 18 from 3 in the first matchup. 2 of 8 so far in this one.
Got good looks. The shooters in the right spots.
Huff against Derrickson. Hits the fadeaway.
Huff shot. And Huff's better in that mid-post area than you think he is. He's not just a one-trick pony of catch and shoot threes. He likes operating out of the 15 to 18-foot area.
Govan tries to go by Hansen and does with a foul.
Pretty.
8 for Jesse Govan and a chance for 9.
A really pretty execution, the half court from Georgetown. Watch this. Govan's going to rip and go through. Can't help off Pryor because he's in the corner as a shooter, so there's a wide open lane. And at 7 feet tall to be able to put the ball on the deck and go finish with touch. That's impressive. This guy's got a really good skill set.
Out of Queens Village, New York. Big East all-freshman team last year, and he's improved those numbers here as a sophomore. Really good lately, and we talked about it. When Georgetown gets somebody in addition to Peak and Pryor, lately that's been Govan. They're pretty darn good offensively.
You see why there was so much space for him to dribble, because he can knock down threes. So you got to kind of run him off the three-point line, and big men typically aren't too adept to being able to move their feet.
Vince dragged that foot and walk. And normally you think about a big guy stretching the floor and opening the floor up for traditional drivers, right? Opens it up for the guards, but Govan can put it on the deck himself.
No doubt. So even if you just have, you can't have an out-of-control closeout on Govan, because he'll do just that. He'll put it on the deck a few times and go lay it in.
Heckner draws the defense now. It's Agaw stepping back and turning it over. Thomas looks to push for the Blue Jays. Zips one for Huff, who slams it down.
Well, Kyrie Thomas has done a better job of making decisions in transition. That was a nice one.
LJ Peak splitting the D and a tough scoop shot, rebounded by Mintz. They look to run again. Foster driving and getting fouled. Not quite as fast as they were with Watson, but they still like to get up and down.
Still get up and down, and they can turn defense into offense, in particular when it's Kyrie Thomas. So look at Kyrie Thomas get his hand on it, and watch how he kind of slows up so Huff can get in the picture and then deliver to him on time. So that's where you have to be able to see the whole picture. Slowing it up, eyes up, Huff, right down Broadway. That's a beautiful job by Kyrie Thomas.
One more coming for Foster. The foul, by the way, was on Jesse Govan, his second. And so he's replaced by Caleb Johnson.
Bradley Hayes been a little bit slowed down, been a little bit banged up, so his minutes have dropped a little bit.
0-2 on that trip for Foster. Yeah, he was in and out of practice this week, and JT3 was going to watch him during warm-ups to see how he was moving, but looks like the verdict is not well. Pryor, wild shot that Govan follows and gets fouled on.
It never fails, Joe. The hardest shot to rebound in basketball defensively is the air ball. The air ball is really hard to grab, and Govan in the right place at the right time, and now at the line.
So chance to move into double figures already. The sophomore big man. Highly touted high school player. He won a New York City title, a New York State championship when he was a senior, and had some growing pains, as many freshmen do last year, but finished strong. And after a slow start this year, he's gotten it going at the right time for the Hoyas.
And don't you think he's the most important player for Georgetown down the stretch?
Yeah.
I feel like he can pencil in production from Peak and Pryor. Got to get something from the big fella, especially because he rounds out the Princeton offense and what they do.
Foster has him on defense here. Tries to take advantage with a step-back jumper.
Make sure you take advantage of mismatches when Georgetown's switching everything. Foster on Govan, an advantageous matchup.
Now Huff comes up with a steal. Mintz, Euro steps, in and out. Heckner rebounds it, but steps on the baseline. And with 3:42 left to go in the first half, Georgetown will have it on the other side.
Well, Marcus Foster's got 8 points. Here's 2 of them. Smelling blood. A little bit of a step back after dancing with him. Blast.
All right, Robin, a 6-point lead for the Blue Jays in this one inside of 4 minutes as we take a look at Nick's picks. I guess we've reached the point where this far along in the conference season, he can start making
thinking about that, right?
Yeah.
I think there's no question to me that Kyrie Thomas is both the most improved player and best defensive player in the conference. Interestingly enough, it was Georgetown's Devontae Smith-Rivera that sparked Creighton wanting to recruit a guy like Kyrie Thomas to be a defensive stopper. Justin Patton, you've heard the hoopla about potentially being one and done. Chris Jenkins, I mean, come on. Is there a guy that you trust more knocking down a triple? And then Josh Hart, you need a bucket in a one-on-one isolation situation. I'm going to Philadelphia and dialing up Josh Hart's number.
My gosh, a guy gets a couple studio hits, and all of a sudden he gets his own branded graphics.
Can start
takes.
Start asking for things, you know.
All right.
I told Carol, I said things about to change around here now. All right.
L.A. Nick. L.J. Peak driving. A tough shot goes for L.J. Peak. Blindly threw it up there and banked it in.
And Joe, that's not a small guy that he's finishing over. Marcus Foster's a strong guy too.
Only 4 for Peak, but an impressive last 2. Here's Foster, mismatch against Agao. Took it on him and banked it in.
You nailed it, Joe, mismatch. So that's twice now Foster's gotten isolated on a Georgetown big. One time got a jumper there, foot on the gas, all the way to the basket.
And into double figures. Creighton leads by 6. Georgetown has not led in this game. The last time we were tied was at 2-2. Agao posting. Akoya Gao into the corner. Caleb Johnson. Foster rises. He's feeling it right now. Peak, another contested shot that goes. He may be the best finisher in traffic in the conference.
No doubt. He's strong, uses his body. Oh.
I guess Josh Hart would probably resent that comment. But he's one of them. And the travel from Kyrie Thomas.
That's a big shot, though, from LJ Peak. Crowd was getting into it after Foster knocked down the three. He gets in the lane and knocks one down.
LJ Peak with 6 now. At 20, the first time the teams met up. Scoring has gone up every year for the junior out of Gaffney, South Carolina. Peak again into Hegner. No call, and now foul. And so LJ Peak, who shoots more free throws than any man in the conference, will have 2 here after Hegner's second foul.
It's one of my favorite looks that JT3 has for LJ Peak. Look how high he's going to get up the floor and the angle of that screen, so Peak can get a little bit of momentum going all the way down the lane line. And oftentimes as a defender, your last line of defense is to try and flop and take a charge. The rest don't fall for it. Good stuff from Peak.
Jeffrey Anderson get an earful from Greg McDermott. And with the second foul on Hegner, McDermott sends Zach Hansen to the scorer's table. We'll let him check in before this free throw.
In the first meeting in Washington, D.C., Georgetown finished the half on a big run that really springboarded and changed the complexion of the game. It's always important to finish halves both ways.
Just asked Villanova and Seton Hall yesterday.
Yeah, oh my goodness.
Villanova, I think an 11-0 run to finish the first and an 11-1 run to start the second. Wound up winning that game by that margin, the margin that they created in the final segment of the first, opening segment of the second.
How about Nova? No Darrell Reynolds for a couple of games. No problem. Finding a way to adjust on the fly and still operate at a high level.
Hansen showing off some post moves, but off the front of the rim. Caleb Johnson. He gets fouled. That one's on Hansen, and now Patton, Hansen, and Hegner all have 2.
That's important. Those are the 3 frontline defenders with size. I thought it was the right call. We'll take another look at it as Hansen is sliding and moving. I think that's definitely a block. That's a good job by Georgetown, who will pick and choose their opportunities to really push it in transition.
Georgetown, out of power conference teams, ranks 5th in the country as far as the percentage of points that they get at the foul line. And it's a Creighton team they're facing that saw Seton Hall shoot 39 free throws the other day.
And the free throw line was going to be an area to keep an eye on today, as Creighton's a team that prides themselves on playing defense without fouling. You see the free throw discrepancy there. +8 for the Hoyas in terms of points from the line here in the first half.
Good seal inside from Hansen, and he was fouled by a Gow. And a sarcastic cheer from the 17,000 plus here in Omaha. And Hansen will go to the line for 2 shots.
Well, you think back, Foster gets the 3, but Peak answers right back, and then just stunted enough of the momentum that you felt like Creighton was maybe going to go on a run to finish the half here, and it's Georgetown that's been chipping away at it. So that guy right there, Mr. Peak, it's a big basket to change the complexion of this thing in the final couple of minutes.
He has 6 of the last 7 for the Hoyas. Drawn to within 4, make it 5 as Hansen connects on 1 of 2. 1 minute left to go in the first half in what has been an entertaining Big East matchup between Creighton and Georgetown. That ball was kicked, but no call as they try to hit a cutting Peak. Zierden stops on a dime and finds Huff. He gets some room on the drive, lays it off for Hansen. In traffic, bullying his way around and kicking. Frenetic pace on this possession. There's Foster, able to scoop it off the glass. 15 in the first half for Marcus Foster. Hoyas holding for the final shot of the first. Peak with an extra pass. Derrickson airballs a three. And then a foul. And a bad foul.
Bad foul.
That will lead to a 1-and-1 on the other end. Rodney Pryor, the 6-year senior, is going to get called for it. And it will lead to a 1-and-1 for Cole Huff with 1.9.
Boy, what a mental error. As you foul Cole Huff, 85 feet from the hoop. No reason at all. Now Huff, who's a good free throw shooter, has a chance to build on this lead. Not sure quite what Pryor was thinking there. Guy that's played a lot of basketball. Silly.
Cole Huff makes one of two, has 10. Here's a Gal Hoisting to bring the first half to a close. Oh, I think he almost did shoot it every time he touched it.
It was
during
close,
the first
about 80% of the time.
41-33, the Blue Jays in front, trying to move to 22-5 and 9-5 in conference play. After the break, we'll check in with Rob Stone and Steve Lavin for the Jeep Grand Cherokee halftime report. Stick with us. Creighton with an 8-point lead over Georgetown as we get ready to start the second half here in this Big East matchup. And we say welcome back courtside. Joe Davis with Nick Bond. I think you kind of hit the nail on the head with what to watch for in this game. Peak and Pryor have both done it for Georgetown, but Govan, a third source, has done it as well, and they're right within striking distance.
And I think Govan's put a lot of pressure on the defense. He's gotten the front line for Creighton into foul trouble, but he's done it in a variety of ways. First one, you're going to see a little pick and a dive to the rim. So he rolls hard. You got shooters spreading the floor. He's able to catch and finish. And you know Govan with his back to the basket is good over his left shoulder, a little right-hand jump hook. Then on the other side, Marcus Foster, I think, has been spectacular. 7 of 11 to the floor. I like that he didn't settle for jump shots early. He put his foot on the gas, got to the rim, and when he looks down at your shoes, you know he's going to let it rip. And he knocked out a big three. He is really playing at a high level this afternoon.
First half stats, Creighton shooting above 50% during the first half, and they went 3 of 9 from outside. Surprisingly, they have the rebounding edge after they were dominated on the glass against Seton Hall earlier this week, and Georgetown has been pretty darn good lately in the rebounding category. We talked about the first matchup between the teams in D.C., where Greg McDermott's team shot only 35%, went 1 of 18 from 3. They've not necessarily killed it from 3, but overall, the efficiency much more in line with what you expect from Creighton.
But I think a big part of that, 24 of Creighton's 41 points in the paint. Typically shots around the rim, higher percentage looks. They've done a good job of not settling for long-range jumpers and attacking the basket.
Hoyas start with it. Winners of 4 of their last 6 after they opened Big East play, losing 6 of 8. Not much room for error if they want to make a run at the NCAA tournament.
Don't you think JT3 needs to go inside to Govan, attack Patton, who's got 2 personal fouls.
LJ Peak, Euro steps inside and moves into double figures. A little bit different lineup on the floor to start the second half for JT3. Marcus Derrickson is in there at one of the forward spots.
Provides a little bit more versatility defensively, can switch out.
Over the top for Patton, who couldn't hang on.
We don't hear that a lot. Patton's a guy that's got great hands for a big man. Just fumbled away a deuce there. But I do think on this end, Joe, with the foul situation with Patton with 2, Hansen with 2, Hegner with 2, got to be a steady diet of Govan at the basket, see if you can really eat into that front line depth.
Peak is all alone in the corner, and he's got the first 5 in the second half for Georgetown. Here's Patton, goes behind the back, fades on Govan and rips it.
That's a classic. What are you doing? No, no, no. Yes.
All right. He was 6'2" when he was a freshman in high school and was a guard. You still see some of those guard skills on display, even though he's a 7-footer now.
It's been incredible to watch him improve in front of your eyes.
Govan's 3 was short. Hoff tracks it down and saves it to Mintz. He looks to push for the Blue Jays. Patton with a nifty pass for Foster, and 18 for Marcus Foster.
Creighton, that's their 11th fast break point. They played with better pace today. That's the feel that Patton has, just in and out of his hands, a little inside out for Foster.
Now Pryor almost came off his feet. Inside to Govan, and a slam for Jesse Govan, who now has a dozen. Yeah, they whistle it dead as that ball bounced up near half court. Govan with 12.
So you see the skip pass and how spread out the middle of the paint is. That's beautiful. So when Govan rolls to the rim and he got shooters towing the arc, he puts a lot of pressure on the defense, and it's kind of a pick your poison situation. You're going to stay attached to the shooters or help on the roll.
Foster lobbing to the rim for Patton.
I can just repeat myself. Where you got shooters towing the arc, Patton rolling to the rim. It's a pick your poison.
Pryor catch and shoot. And an air ball. A rare one from Georgetown's leading scorers. They'll go back to that last Creighton possession.
So same situation. Look how Patton's going to roll to the rim. See how you can't come off and help. You got shooters towing the arc. He's got to be able to try and get inside. And Patton with a couple of high fives after a lob.
Foster, short. Patton sat for the final 8.5 minutes of the first half after getting his second foul. Then there to begin the second, already putting his stamp on it. Derrickson for a moment was open. Instead, Govan turned around and let it fly, and then Derrickson picked up the foul, his second.
Boy, Huff and Derrickson had quite the battle there in the post. Derrickson had him for a second, and that's what caused Patton to back up to free up the jump shot.
Some of that full court pressure from the Hoyas. It's given Creighton issues over the years.
Teams need to think about doing that more against Creighton.
Puck slipped to the rim but couldn't finish.
It's 4 points now. Creighton get a puck slip, miss, and Patton fumbled the easy deuce.
And one more fumbles on the other end. Here's Patton again, along at the rim to stuff it home. Largest lead of the game for Creighton. Govan bounces for Pete, contested at the rim by Thomas. Patton driving, spinning, kicking, extra pass for a Thomas 3. College Hoops on FS1 is sponsored by Jeep Grand Cherokee. And Creighton on a 7-0 run has its largest lead of the game at 13, 53-40. Now, Kyrie Thomas just got his first points of the game, but he's been getting it done in all phases, including right here.
Yeah, look at it. Starts with a contest, jumps up without fouling, gets a piece of it, so he gets the block, which springboards the transition situation. And you always got to love how basketball has a way of rewarding those who do the right thing. A little extra pass from Davion Mintz. And Thomas splashes a triple to cap off the run, and a timeout from Georgetown. What a game that Kyrie Thomas has had. That's a mark of a good player, guys that can impact it without scoring.
He's one of the guys that has stepped forward, not just on the floor, but in a leadership role in the absence of Mo Watson. And that's not necessarily him by nature.
No.
He's had to try to become a more vocal guy.
I think it starts with being able to lead. You got to be respected by your teammates. And everybody on that Blue Jay roster has the utmost respect for Kyrie Thomas. You know how it is, Joe. When you're a guy that does the little things, your teammates love that. And Thomas does a good job of fighting and scrapping on the defensive end, and that allows him to earn that trust to lead.
Into the corner for Momore. That three was contested by Huff's closeout, but Momore is able to get the loose ball. Never hit the rim, so Pryor fires it up there. Agao rebounds it, goes right back up, but misses. Thomas, the rebound for Creighton. Kyrie Thomas all the way. And Agao, another board. This is Caleb Johnson with a reverse layup.
Caleb Johnson has come in and run the floor hard. When you're a guy that's not going to play a lot of minutes, there's no reason to not go sprint rim to rim. He's got 2 baskets just by running the floor.
He had a bigger role as a true freshman last year. He's dealt with a knee injury some this season. Nice defense from Peak. Last touch by Georgetown, and it stays with Creighton. In an 11-point game. 5 minutes into this second half. Back to Omaha after this. They all count towards the sellout crowd. 17,626. 8th consecutive sellout here, and they've enjoyed watching Justin Patton, who's at all 4 of his shots today.
Yeah, he's not a baby anymore. His game is all grown up. Little step back jump shot, and then it's where he's really good. Put pressure on the rim, off the pick and roll with the lob. Then he does a good job of running the floor and doing his work early. Little steal up the floor, good pass from Kyrie Thomas. Patton, who was saddled with 2 personal fouls, has really put his fingerprints on the game here in the second half.
And has boosted his 70% field goal percentage with his 4 for 4 so far. That 70% leads the conference, 3rd in the country, and has vaulted up near the top of many people's NBA draft boards. What do you think as far as Patton and his projectability right now, looking at this year's draft?
I don't know if there's a big man in the country that has as much upside as Justin Patton. Do I think he's ready to play in the NBA next year? I don't know if he's quite ready, but sometimes you draft guys on potential and thinking about what they're going to be 2, 3, 4 years down the road. So it'll be an interesting decision for Justin Patton at the end of the year. One that I don't think anybody thought he would have a few years ago, but it's a testament to this coaching staff and to that young man, how hard he's worked.
Creighton was his only offer coming out of high school. Dream school. He grew up about 10 miles away from here and grew up coming to games here. So picked a good one to get his only offer from.
Right.
And it's one he always dreamt of coming to.
I live in Omaha, and I had never heard of him. And I remember when he committed to Creighton, I had to call the coaching staff and ask, tell me about this kid. And they thought he had a chance to be something special.
Foster, a step back triple, and what a day Marcus Foster's having. A game-high 21. The 10th time this season, the K-State transfers hit the 20-point mark. Pryor leaves it short. Long rebound to Foster. On the push. Mintz in transition. And a danger zone for Georgetown right now, down 14. Underneath the Gao, in traffic.
There's no doubt he's had an extra bounce to his step here. Coming home, he's been a lot more aggressive offensively. And JT3 loves the energy that Okoye Gao plays with.
That's a foul on Johnson. Wrapped his arms around Patton going to the rim.
Marcus Foster, good situation for him when he's got to put one up. Puts it down, and he is loving it. I think Govan's the most important Hoya for the remainder of the season. I think Foster is the most important J for the remainder of the season, just because of how talented he is offensively. And he's shown you a little bit of everything tonight.
18 per game, 3rd in the conference, behind Josh Hart of Villanova, Rodney Pryor of Georgetown. Davion Mintz working against Pryor. Now Thomas. And a second foul on Johnson in quick succession.
Foul on number 32, Caleb Johnson, his second personal foul, team third.
This is that time of year when you're on the bubble. Every game is crucial, and Georgetown has been right there. Need a big push here for the next 5 minutes, try and get back in this thing.
Look at this rotation. Now Foster tries to penetrate and lays it in for 2 more.
I just love that turning down an open jumper to get all the way to the basket. That is something the coaching staff has been harping on since November.
Pryor was fouled. Running the baseline. See who they get. It is Heckner and his 3rd. Here's Govan. Quickly doubles. Tries to split it. And does, but can't hit. And now a chance for Creighton to run, although Pat nearly walked with it. Foster for Heckner. And Johnson was on the baseline. And a bit of a sloppy stretch over the last minute. Well, Creighton at 21-5. Georgetown, a team that is trying to fight its way back onto the bubble at 14-12 with an RPI of 62. But a strength of schedule of 12, and the one thing that Georgetown doesn't have is a bad loss. Now, people would point to Arkansas State and say that's a bad loss, but their RPI is 79.
Yeah, that's not necessarily a bad loss, maybe by name, but if you look at what they've been able to do, and the thing that Georgetown has going for them is that they have those signature wins, and oftentimes those teams on the bubble, you're looking for reasons to be in, not necessarily reasons to be out, and Georgetown has those reasons.
Now, the committee, when they're looking at defining bad losses, you look at losses of an RPI of 100 or below, and 79 is the worst loss on Georgetown's resume. Reggie Cameron seeing some rare minutes. Inside for Govan, sweeping through the lane, around it out. Isaiah Zierden coming back in for Kyrie Thomas. Creighton trying to make the NCAA tournament for the first time in 3 seasons. Sitting pretty right now at 21-5, even without Mo Watson. Cameron launches it. His game shot's gone cold.
Cameron's a shooter, doesn't play a ton. He's only played in 11 games, so he's coming in, he's looking to fire from beyond the arc.
A skip pass for Zierden. Tries to go by Cameron. Scoops it off the glass and in.
That's what you got to be able to do, though, when teams are going to run you off the 3-point line. Make them pay.
Mosley drives and will have a chance to shoot a couple of free throws here. Under 12. Creighton has opened up the lead to 16, trying to get its 22nd win.
Welcome back to Omaha. Blue Jays up here in the middle stages of the second half. When you take on a team like Georgetown, because their offense is very complex, you got to be complex with your defensive rotations. Take a look at Foster, who's guarding LJ Peak. Peak is going to backdoor cut, then he's going to come to the top of the key. But Foster's going to stay in the middle of the lane, and he's going to have Kyrie Thomas actually rotate up to take his man, and then Foster's going to be the one to rotate out to Thomas's man. So here comes the switch. Thomas runs out. Foster takes Pryor, and he's there on the catch and the contest. And then Creighton finishes it with a defensive rebound. Pretty unique way of rotating on the backside. Takes a lot of trust from Greg McDermott with his players to have something so complex.
How does that change when you're facing the Princeton offense?
But it's challenging because everything's got a counter. And so you have to be aware of, if, okay, you take away this, they're going to do that. So you have to think 1 or 2 steps ahead if you're going to do something unique defensively. So you better believe JT3 is going to be able to see how they're guarding that, and they'll adjust accordingly.
The 2 free throws for Jagan Mosley. Hoyas have missed 10 of their last 12. Yeah, allowed Creighton to open up this lead to 14 midway through the second half. Hansen wants it inside. He's got a mismatch against Peak, but Govan wouldn't let it get there.
Great defensive possession from Govan. Switching out on Huff, being there on the catch. Getting a deflection.
Govan with room and a mid-range jumper that pops out, but a take follow halfway down and out. A third opportunity for Georgetown. Leads to a chance at a couple of free throws. Moments ago inside JT3's huddle.
Down there, we have to come up with every loose ball. We have to come up with every rebound. We have to make the hustle plays. We have to make the hustle. There's plenty of time. There's plenty of time left.
They got a couple of loose balls that time. Got a couple of offensive rebounds. Trying to stay in this game. Doesn't this game right now, the juncture of this game, kind of mirror Georgetown's season where it stands? Like barely hanging in there, no room for error.
But they've shown flashes. Right. But they've been their own worst enemy at times.
Yeah.
But one thing I like there is that JT3 was incredibly calm in that huddle. I mean, it's going to do no good to necessarily freak out on the road. 11 and a half minutes.
And another opportunity for Georgetown getting to a loose ball.
There it is.
You saw a moment ago the fourth foul on Zach Hansen. That's foul number 3 on Cole Huff. And Mosley to the line. 2 shots for the freshman.
Georgetown playing with more energy. So Creighton's going to counter with their energy guy and Ronnie Harrell. Guy that doesn't play that much, but when he comes in, he really empties out that gas tank. Because of the foul situation, because of the energy that the Hoyas are playing with, look for number 4 in white to make some plays.
1 of 2 for Mosley. And the Hoyas continue to hang in there. Deficit is 12. Some full court pressure from Georgetown.
Thought I'd see more of this today. Just making Mintz work, heat him up a little bit. The one thing Mintz did was he established himself early in the game. So sometimes you're a little hesitant to go after guys when that's the case.
Here's Patton. Shot clock down to 5. Kyrie Thomas, long 3. Long rebound, and Patton's got it. A fresh possession for Creighton. A cross-court pass to Zierden. And another opportunity with a foul on Peak. Creighton fans gotta love to see Patton getting a couple of offensive rebounds after he and the Blue Jays were dominated in that phase on Wednesday by Angel Delgado and Seton Hall.
Been a much better effort on the glass collectively this afternoon. Jays are +3 in that column. That's going to be, that's always an important area for Creighton because, quite frankly, it's a weakness of theirs.
They were -17 Wednesday. You said Harrell's the energy guy, but he flashes a pretty jumper from 18.
He's aggressive. Plays sporadically, but always has his foot on the gas.
Mosley got his own miss. Out to Pryor. A step back jumper. Got it. Pretty looking from Rodney Pryor. He's into double figures with 11. And back to a 12-point game. Harrell against Agao. Leans into him. And Agao did well to defend that time.
Tell you, Joe, guarding a guy like Pryor, though, guarding guys that like step-back jumpers, they are really hard to defend because then a little jab and he gets you rocking back.
And just like that, Georgetown back to single digits. 14 for Pryor, the Big East's second leading scorer. Thomas draws the foul. He's on the floor. Jeffrey Anderson getting an earful from Greg McDermott still. They call Jesse Govan for his 3rd.
That's amazing. Not all shot fakes are created equal. Just ask Chris Jenkins. He gets guys to bite all the time. Not all jab steps are created equal. Rodney Pryor, look how just a little subtle jab going to back Kyrie Thomas up just enough for him to raise up and knock it down.
Here's Patton. He knocks it home with a foul and still hasn't missed a day. And that's Marcus Foster with the assists.
That's his fifth. That is beautiful. You see as Foster's going to step right back in. Just a little give and go. That's just two guys giving each other that look, that little eyebrow raise. And Patton's been tremendous in the second half.
That was a little more Foster and his new ability to find his teammates, something he's done more with Mo Watson out. Derrickson has a three, crawl over the rim. And this is a turnover off of the hands of Burrell. Agal turns it right back over. It's showtime! The latest points for Foster give him 25 on that slam. And a chance here for Georgetown wiped away by Kyrie Thomas.
Good instincts, good hands, and Foster to the top floor. Beautiful play from Kyrie Thomas. That numbers, a 4-on-2 for Georgetown. Ends in a dunk for that guy. As good of a game as he's played in a Creighton uniform, Marcus Foster.
We were saying right before we came back from break, that steal from Thomas when you have a 4-on-2, that's when you throw your video game controller.
You tell your buddy you want to hit. Hey, let's restart. Let's just restart the game. So frustrating, and that's just the difference. On the road, those plays right there. You get a 4-on-2, you think you're going to go score, at the very least draw a foul. Instead, it's a dunk, and you have to call timeout.
4-point swing instead of it being a 9-point game. The lead's back to 13. Agal putting on for his people here in Omaha.
There's a section of about 40 people who are here to watch Akoya Agal that love that.
Here's Pat, puts it on the drive and has it blocked by Agal, then tracks it down.
Coming home and playing is hard, Joe. And I think Akoya Agal's done a good job of being aggressive without forcing it. There's no doubt he's wanted to get involved.
Pryor with an 18-footer. Weak side rebound from Marcus Derrickson. LJ Peak. And this time Foster clears it. On the push, no look pass. Thomas the beneficiary.
Yeah, that's now 5 assists for Foster. He has really done a good job of making plays.
In addition to his 25 points to lead the way. LJ Peak had it called just short. Heckner with an up fake. Now Pat against Agal. Foster doesn't need much room. Neither does Zierden. And just when it seemed like Georgetown was crawling back, Creighton's gone on a run of its own and leads by 16. Pryor. And where it was Creighton that was 1 of 18 the first time around from 3. It's Georgetown this time that is 3 of 20 from outside.
And Creighton in the second half is 4 of 7 from beyond the arc. So the three-point line's been important.
Zierden takes it out from underneath. Now Thomas, baseline, gets fouled. Big and Mosley, the hard foul. And Thomas slow getting to his feet. And they'll separate the teams, make sure there's no extracurricular. Well, Creighton has pulled away in this game. That's not kept Okoye Gao from having some fun in his hometown. 8 points, 8 rebounds for him. In front of the Zierden 3 ball as Creighton's gotten hot. Premier Boxing Champions returns to Fox, and the undefeated heavyweight champion Deontay Wilder defends his world title against an unbeaten contender in Gerald Washington. All that and more. A couple of huge matchups on Fox Saturday at 8 Eastern. Back here in Omaha, where Creighton has opened up a 16-point lead over Georgetown behind 25 points from Marcus Foster. Justin Patton hit his first 5 shots and is in double figures. And while both teams started out hot, it's been Creighton that's kept it going, while Georgetown shot only 30% here in the second.
I think Justin Patton's second half has really changed the game. But 2 personal fouls in the first half. Didn't put his fingerprints on this thing, but that guy right there has been great in the second stanza.
One of 2 for Thomas. Free throw shooting continues to be a spot where Creighton is not very good. 3 of 9 today for a team that ranks 9th in the Big East this year. Isn't
that interesting? A good shooting team not being a good free throw. Just goes to show you how mental free throw shooting is, whether you're comfortable at the line or not.
Yeah, they're number 2 in the country in field goal percentage, but second worst in the Big East from the line. Georgetown running out of time. They've gone cold here in the second half. Creighton has gotten it going to pull away. A 17-point lead. It's Largent. Zierden. And a rebound Johnson.
See, Thomas has been the one handling the ball a lot. And that allows Zierden to do what he does best, and that's catch and shoot. So although technically Zierden may be the point guard of this lineup, it's nice to have the versatility of Thomas to slide over and alleviate some of the ball handling duties.
Under 10 to shoot. Derrickson way outside a contested 3 with the shot clock winding down. Wouldn't go. Foster right for the pass inside. Thomas had that one partially blocked. And back comes Georgetown. Hoyas have missed 6 shots in a row. And so they'll try to get it done at the line as Derrickson is fouled from behind, and we go inside Coach McDermott's huddle.
We got to knock them out right now. Knock them out right now. Don't give up. Don't give them a breath. Don't give them a breath. Hey, boy, so I can help off them.
I like that. Sending a message, understanding it's that time. You keep the foot on the throat, got him on the ropes, whatever cliche you want to throw at him. It is closing time. And this is kind of that time of the game where it's either going to be kind of nip and tuck for the rest of the way, or it's going to be a comfortable win.
And I said Georgetown would head to the line. They still have 1 more to give. Govan against Patton. Drag that pivot foot. 3rd time we've seen Govan travel today.
Tell you what, Joe. Justin Patton's done a good job of playing defense without fouling in this second half. He had 2 personal fouls in the first half. He's got none in this second half, but it hasn't taken away his aggressiveness. He's got to learn how to play in foul trouble.
Thomas for 3. Foster followed it, and he gets a 10 for the effort. My gosh, that would have been insane. Patton hustled back to block it, but okay, they'll say a goaltend.
That right there is the new Creighton in a nutshell. Above the rim. Used to be a shooting team. You get a near tip dunk from Foster, and then look at this. Timing it up on the backside. Oh.
That would have been one way to get 27. You got points 24 and 25 in a breakaway dunk. Egner handles it across half court, and it's Zierden, 4.5 to play. Thomas lost the handle. For Georgetown a couple of weeks ago on the road against Villanova, raced a similar deficit, made it really interesting down the stretch. But they are having issues on this end right now. 15 turnovers for the Hoyas.
This is that stage of the game where you don't want to play not to lose if you're Creighton. You got to stay somewhat aggressive, but just operate with a little bit of intelligence on how you're attacking.
Zierden for three. Into double figures for Isaiah Zierden.
You need his three-point shooting. I mean, that's what he does. He's knocked down 3 triples.
And Peak plus the foul.
Isaiah Zierden having to play a variety of positions after the Maurice Watson injury. But whether he's handling it or running the offense, the one thing he can do is shoot that thing. Zierden loving it in Omaha.
20th ranked Creighton with a 16-point lead behind 25 from Marcus Foster.
He's had his whole offensive game on display. A little transition kick out 3. Foster gets it to go down late in the shot clock. He can create his own little crossover. And I love that he's been thinking about getting to the rim and finishing today. And you know he can do this. Go to the top floor and throw it down in transition. Look at the difference in outings from the first time against Georgetown to today. I just think Greg McDermott's got to love that assist number at 5 as much as he loves the 25 in the points column.
Obviously, part of the difference is the fact they've hit some threes, but they were limited to 51 points in the first meeting. Creighton was a season low. They said it's 75 right now. What else has been different?
I think they've shared the ball. They've done a better job of moving it. 17 team assists on 32 made baskets, and they've rebounded. They've rebounded the ball. They're +2 on the glass, and that's important for transition teams because you can't run if you don't rebound.
Here's an opportunity for Georgetown off of the steal on the press, but then a foul is called on, I believe, Justin Patton, and it is. It's his 3rd.
So now, if you're Creighton, you got to think about handling the ball, and you always got to have eyes in the back of your head that if your running mate gets into trouble, you come back, help him out, because Georgetown's probably going to come with some full court pressure and flying around.
Georgetown has missed 7 foul shots today, but a foul on Marcus Foster on the rebound. Or did they say a lane, either a lane violation
One of the two,
or a foul?
Either way, not good.
And so must have been a foul that earned him a 1-and-1. It's the 2nd foul on Foster. Right, because he wouldn't be getting a 2nd.
Right, it has to be.
Well, I guess it could have been because it was.
If they erased the first one, right? I think it must have been a lane violation.
Okay, you're right. Either way, Georgetown able to cut into it, and it's down to 13. Into Heckner, who's doubled, and is not a very good ball handler. And now Zierden has to burn a timeout. Georgetown creating havoc here with his press. And with 3:27 to go, refusing to go away. There have been many times late in games where Georgetown has done this to teams, and it leaves a lot of Georgetown fans asking, why don't they do more of this? Because they look really hard to beat when they're able to press this way and cause havoc.
Yeah, it's easy to say that, but there's also a level of desperation that's hard to recreate early in a game by full court pressing. And right now, Creighton's got to think about handling the basketball. This is where it's always nice. You can have multiple guys bring it up.
Designed well, and they get it across with Foster. Good decision. And then a foul on LJP.
Great pressure release is a big man in a press. So you have Patton up there. He's going to win a lot of 50-50 jump balls there. You just throw it to him, and then you get ahead of steam.
Now, last year in D.C. when these two teams played, Georgetown using that pressure finished the game on a 15-3 run to erase a huge deficit and win it by 1. I mentioned against Villanova a couple of weeks ago, they didn't win, but they erased a large deficit in the final minutes to make it interesting. Something that JT3's teams are known to be able to do.
And I guarantee you both coaching staffs were reminding them of what happened last year.
Marcus Foster, 27 for him. Season high is 30. Here's Peak with a tough take. Oh, it hung on the rim forever and then dropped home.
He is so good when he gets going with a head of steam downhill. There, yeah, you press out, make Patton bring the ball up the floor.
Some dangerous moments there. Now Heckner underneath. Been anything but sure-handed on this trip for Creighton. But the important thing for the Blue Jays is that they still have it. And the shot clock winds inside of 10. In the hands of Foster. A step back jumper. 29 for the unconscious Marcus Foster.
I think it was driving the ball to the basket early that got him into a rhythm to hit those step back tough jumpers.
Here's a Gow. His runner won't go. Peak there to follow it.
You hear Patton has been the pressure release, and if you're Georgetown, if the ball goes into him, you make him bring it up.
And Zierden, who is a really good foul shooter, is fouled by Momor. Now Creighton trying to keep pace near the top of the Big East. Villanova's clinched at least a share of a 4th consecutive regular season title. Creighton would love to catch Butler for that 2 seed. Georgetown part of that crowded pack in the middle part of the standings. I don't think anybody thinks, though, that the Hoyas are the 9th best team in the conference.
It is incredible. From 3 all the way to 9, things can look incredibly different in terms of seeds and places for the Big East tournament. How about St. John's, though? One conference game last year to have an infusion of freshmen and redshirt freshmen and do what they've been able to do. It's been impressive.
Isaiah Zierden has now hit 17 consecutive free throws this year and has 13. Agao driving on Patton, and he'll shoot 2. It's been an impressive game from McCoy Agao today. Georgetown is going to need to be near perfect down the stretch this year to have a chance to join this group. But according to Stuart Mandel, 6 teams in the field right now. These 5, and then you see on the bottom line of the graphic, he has Seton Hall in his last 4 in. Creighton is a 6th seed right now.
I think Marquette in a pretty good spot, because they got the signature win over Villanova, but they also get Xavier one more time, beat Xavier last night, and they get Creighton one more time in Milwaukee. So you're going to have 2 opportunities for kind of resume boosting wins down the stretch for Steve Wojciechowski's crew.
Any worry if you're a Xavier fan about them fading as much as they have and potentially fading right out of the picture?
Not if Blewett comes back. I think if Blewett's come back, which I think he will, I don't think Blewett will let it happen, but I think they're going to be okay.
There's a front little stretch for Agao. He was unable to finish it, but an offensive rebound and missed a dunk. Now Thomas able to split it. Heckner rises for a dunk attempt that popped out. Nobody can make a dunk right now. Agao out to Mosley. And Georgetown has been miserable from 3. 3 of 22 today. So the script entirely flipped from the first meeting. They're fouled on Caleb Johnson. Foster back to the line with a chance to match his season high.
It's interesting that you got a decent game for Jesse Govan, not an overly efficient game, 12 points on 14 shots, but you got 14 from Pyre, 22 from Peak. But Creighton was just too good offensively today. Over 50% from the floor. And you got probably Marcus Foster's best game as a Blue Jay with 30 now.
Really, Creighton's numbers offensively, the percentages, while they're really high, they're right in line with their season numbers. LJP gets to the rim, can't hit, but he's fouled from behind. The difference is, though, they've not necessarily been at those numbers without Mo Watson. So for Creighton fans, it has to be encouraging to see this kind of offense today.
Well, and that's the thing. It's kind of been one step forward, one step back for Creighton in their games without Maurice Watson. But I think the thing that you got to be encouraged about if you're a Blue Jay fan is they've shown when they have that extra level in them. Their ceiling's not as high as it was with Watson, but whether it was the game at Butler, here today, even moments in some other games, they've shown when they could put it all together, they're still a team that is a force to be reckoned with.
There were a lot of people that thought they were a legit Final Four contender with Mo Watson.
I don't think there's any question about that. Not so sure that with Maurice Watson that Creighton didn't have the best starting five in the Big East. But ultimately, you've had to adjust without him, and it's been not easy to do. But it'd be nice for Creighton to put some momentum together here as you see that light at the end of the tunnel, and that's Madison Square Garden.
Player tournament on FS1 and Fox coming up in just a few weeks. Can you believe that?
Always goes by fast. And it is, I feel like we say this every year, but it is going to be wild in New York. Because every team really past Villanova has proven that can beat or lose to anybody.
New season high for Marcus Foster, 31. Overall career high at a 34-point game while he was at K-State against Texas. 32.
I think the biggest adjustment in playing without Watson was with Foster. He just relied on Watson to spoon feed him shots. So I think he almost developed not some bad habits, but just he got overly comfortable with, hey, all I got to do is run and shoot, and I'm going to score, and it's going to be fine. And now without Watson on the floor, he's had to rebound more. He's had to think about distributing more. And I think he's slowly starting to put it together.
Inside of a minute now. Creighton's going to move to 22-5, 9-5 in the conference. And Georgetown will fall to 14-13, 5-9. With 4 games left, that includes a date at home with Villanova to finish. But the next couple of games, Georgetown will be favored in. Oh, Foster, tack it on. A new career high 35. You think he knew where he was at? Pryor puts it in. I think he knew he was too short of that career mark.
Hey, sometimes scorers are pretty good at in-game math, figuring out where they're at. What a game for Foster.
35 for Marcus Foster. And after they were held to 51 by Georgetown in late January, they drop 87 on the Hoyas today and win at 87-70. That does it from here in Omaha. For Nick Baugh, Joe Davis sending it to Rob Stone and Steve Lavin in our FS1 College Hoops studio.